Moviesanywhere.com changes terms of service and opts you in without implicit consent by Louis Rossman.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. If you've been watching my channel for any period of time, you likely understand that something that bothers me very much is when a company tries to change the terms of the sale after the sale, even if they have zero intention of doing so. Simply having that language in their contract, I will throw them under a bus, whether it is a random company or the company that I work for that is run by my employer who can fire me if I say it. I will say it on their own channel. I don't care. This is the type of language that makes me angry. I don't think you should be allowed to change the terms of the sale after the sale, and if language exists, I will throw you under a bus for it. Now,
the only time I really look at this and go, that reasonably makes sense, is when you get into certain situations, like certain games, right, where you have cheat engines, you have different exploits and stuff like that. Some of them will use language about, bannable offenses, or any language that we decide, any act, language, etc., that we determine should result to the ban, right? Leaving some kind of things like that, reasonably gray, ambiguous, that kind of thing. Okay, I understand that, because what happens if somebody starts ripping on somebody with something you had no idea was coming down the pipeline, and it becomes a problem, or becomes toxic to your environment? I understand when things like that could come into play. That being said, if I buy a Sony camera, right, bought a Sony camera, or if I buy a Nintendo Switch and they decide, hey, we're just going to alter this, pretty awful move in my opinion, and that will in fact make sure I don't do business with you. The Roku situation, where Roku was having people sign their EULA and locking them out of devices, right? Every time I look at a TV, is that a Roku? It was, okay, it's not a Roku. Okay, I'm interested. Is that a Roku? Yes. Okay, I want to move on to a different TV. And that's the power of when you're playing with your brand and you're trying to push legal and TOS like this to your average consumer. That's the problem that you can run into, is because you can destroy your brand image very quickly.
the company I'm talking about today is a company called MoviesAnywhere.com. A brief description of MoviesAnywhere.com. MoviesAnywhere.com consolidates users' digital movie purchases from various participating studios and retailers into a single unified library. MoviesAnywhere.com allows users to link their accounts from multiple digital retailers like Amazon Prime Video, Google Play, iTunes, Vudu, and movie studios like Disney, Warner Brothers, Universal to aggregate their movie purchases into one library. Now, why is it a concern if they change the terms of the sale to something like this, where it says blah-de-blah-de-blah, we're updating the terms of use, we're making clarifications regarding the arbitration agreement to be more specific about the...
Oh my God. I have to pause because in other videos, we have talked about just that arbitration is becoming more and more popular. And the way that I understand it at a bare bones level is that if somebody tries to sue you, you can no longer sue them. And that it has to go through an arbitration, and you have like this ex-judge, former judge, etc., and they kind of oversee it. And it's to prevent quote unquote like costly legal fees and stuff like that. I hate that this is becoming the new standard. When I worked for a job, which I will not say, right, because I'm under certain things that I can't talk about it. Yeah, we were moving into a arbitration model. And I absolutely had a problem with that, especially because we got class actioned. I will not say anything further than that because, one, irrelevant. Two, I don't want to dox that position. Three, I don't think that it necessarily would do any good for me to, you know, say this business name. What I can say is that due to the situation with a public class action, then moving to an arbitration agreement, not a good look.
Procedures for resolving any disputes related to your account. And as usual, it says over here that you have a choice to opt out, which you probably have to look through their website for. However, in order to opt you into the new terms of service, well, that's just going to happen automatically in a month.
Discord did this. I totally forgot to opt out, and now I cannot go after Discord if Discord did something, right? Because it auto-enrolls you. How is that legal, right? One, how is this legal? Two, how is this the standard? Three, how can we fight back against that? As a consumer, as someone that consumes a product, subscribes to a product, right? Where you have 30, calendar days where, oh, we can just opt you into a new binding legal agreement. How is that fair, right? And then if you ask them, well, I need to see your lawyer, I need to see, you know, this, I need to see all this documentation, they're going to tell you to pound sand, right? So it's pretty one-sided, not in your favor.
If this email went to spam, you got opted into a new terms of service without ever clicking I agree.
Yeah.
If I want to change the terms of the sale to say that after I fix your MacBook, after you've gotten it back, after you've paid, that I want the ability to see what's going on your MacBook at any given time, I want the right to use a keylogger and then have that keylogger report everything to me, I need to get your express authorized consent.
Yeah.
I should not have the ability to...
I worked in finance, right? What if I were to say, hey, you can get this money market savings account and we can get you a 2.5% return rate, right? Well, but if you don't do anything by this point in time, if you don't do this, and obviously there's going to be, legal paperwork, legal text. There's going to be certain things that are like, if you have a CD, certificate of deposit, right? And you say have a certificate of deposit at 2% for a 12-month period, and you don't roll it over within the time period that it opens up because certificates of deposit's not getting into too much information. You lock a set amount of money away for a certain time. Once it matures fully, you're able to see if you want to withdraw it, add more, etc. There's usually restrictions on CDs because of the interest it can give you. And then if you miss it, it just rolls over into another CD, and then you'd have to pay the penalty. CDs are an interesting thing. I didn't know they existed until I started working in the financial institution. But that's like, let's get money market savings account. Let's get you into a CD. And I don't tell you it's not even that I don't tell you that's part of it, right? Because one, these are questions people should be asking, but two, and I did let everyone know, hey, this is what a CD means. This is what your money market means, right? And when you start getting into, well, actually, our money market was this, or our CD was this, but after you made it, well, we're going to just modify that a little bit. You were at a 2% or a 2.25%. You're now at a 1%. Did you talk to me? Did you notify me? Anything? And how? Like, Louis Rossman is absolutely right here from a tech standpoint. I can speak to, from my time in finance, as short as it was, right, about a year and a half, something like that, right, versus him being a specialist in his field and someone that I honestly look to. Like, I look at videos he puts out, and anything he puts out, I assume he is going to be well-read and educated on what he's talking about. And honestly, he has a lot of opinions that I like. And these are valid comparisons, right? I can't just sell you an account, upsell you an account, right? And then midway through, oh, well, you're not getting that rate, actually, because we're just changing it. It's not that it was in the contract, not it was a clause, any of the legal stuff. Oh, we're just changing it. Him, oh, well, after the sale, I can just put a keylogger on it, right? No, he's right. You need your express permission on that. There's a reason that I couldn't roll anyone in overdraft. I had to get their express consent to opt in or opt out of the overdraft program. I think he's absolutely on base here.
To do that, I cannot just say, if you don't see this email that probably ends up in spam, as many emails that have no reply in them often do, because that's what this says, that you just get opted into a new terms of service. And the reason this is particularly bad here is because I understand why somebody may want to sue a company like this. They are aggregating media from a number of these different studios, and several of these studios have decided that even when they use the word purchase, because of what's on page 21 and 25 of their agreement, they can just take that back from you. I went over that in this video. Stoney steals customers' purchase content. Piracy is completely justified.
I think I did see that. I think that was about the Discovery license or something like that. Then I don't know. If you're not going to be able to keep that up, if you purchase something, and in this case, honestly, it's more like leasing something, that needs to be page 1. That needs to be like bold red letters, FTC, somebody gets involved and says, you need to disclose this page 1. Because we've had many situations, many lawsuits where, oh, well, it's on page 22 or 43 of the contract where, oh, yes, this is technically legally binding. But even then, there's certain things that this gets into lawyer territory. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not legal advice. Consult a lawyer should you need to, where you have things that should be legally binding according to the contract, but they end up not being legally binding because of how they're put in the contract. Lawyers are simultaneously some of my favorite people and least liked people ever. Like, I could probably go out to dinner with a lawyer, right? We could have a good conversation about legality, stuff like that. But the moment somebody issues copyright, the moment someone threatens legal action, the moment someone says, I'm getting my lawyer, Kip, it's a black and white, all right, I'm shutting up now. You're going to follow through at this point.
In this case, even if you paid $15 to $20, what you were actually purchasing was a temporary license that can be revoked at any given time, so you immediately.
Yep. Yes, that one.
Purchase used to mean something. Purchase used to mean that you bought it and you owned it. And this is becoming more and more of a problem. And this is why I suggest more and more people get something like this in order to store their media. I do not.
What is that, actually? Is that a server? I've been looking at a server rack, actually. I'm sorry, I'm going to go back using comma. Whatever that is, I kind of love whatever that is. And I need one.
I do not use a streaming service. I do not use any of this Movies Anywhere nonsense where you could take away my rights to my content and I can't even fucking sue you because you opted me into a bullshit agreement that I never agreed to.
Yep.
I have something called the Pioneer BDR2213. There are many like it, but this one is mine. My BDR2213 is my best friend. It is my life. I must master it as I must master my life. Without me, my BDR2213 is useless. Without my BDR2213, I am useless. I must firmware my Pioneer True. I must ensure that I only use Pioneer BDR 2213s.
I mean, I have an Xbox right now. I got an Xbox One next to me under my N64. And it's like, worst case scenario, if I'm worried about Microsoft pushing out an update that's going to brick the Blu-ray player, disconnect from the internet. The one thing that did get me recently is after Nintendo did their, we're gonna kill service, we're gonna 69 service, sorry, 69. 86. Wow, it's been a minute since I've been in a restaurant. Both are valid depending on the situation. We're going to 86 3DS servers, right? I was getting issues where I'm putting in a Nintendo DS cart, like regular DS, and I was getting delay, lag, crashes on my DS. And then until I did that final update, and then it's like, oh, this is okay. Now it's working in just fine. And it was so weird to have a Nintendo product like that I hadn't turned on for months at the time and was just running off the last update they did before that final update just start to get worse. It's almost like it was kind of this like over X amount of time, it just gets worse and worse until you update, which if that's true, I do not like one bit.
10 to 15-year-old firmware on them so that my enemy, who is trying to take my media, can never take my media off of my 200 terabyte server. Yes. Right over here, I've got 12 drives in this. I use ZFS with RAID. I got a giant UPS on that thing. I got my PFSense router over here that runs PF Blocker NG. So even if I'm using my Android phone with my VPN, I'll never see advertisements. I don't got any ports open on this thing, but I can still access that server from anywhere, whether I want to turn my air conditioning on before I get home, I want to see my calendar, my notes, my contacts, or I want to watch my purchased content. You can never take it away from me. It is an MKV file, motherfucker. Movie.
Yeah. I love this, man. If you have not, I usually save it till the end. If you haven't, please watch this, man. Watch Louis Rossman. Understand what he has to say, especially about right to repair and some of the scummy ads that companies have put out in regards to mechanics and stuff. Oh my God, it's a rabbit hole. This man is incredibly based, as the kids would say, right? I love that he's just like, yeah, no, I bought this. It's an MKV. And like, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I don't mind advertisements. What I do mind is god-awful advertisements. You have the budget, okay? Make a good advertisement. Dude, have you seen those Spanish toothpaste commercials that I keep talking about? Oh my God, they are life-changing. I've never heard someone speak that way about like toothpaste or Pepsi. Oh my God, dude. Can we get more of those? Like, can we just stop getting like shop now at, it's just like, okay, but why? Like the ads got awful. And that's if the ad is legitimate. YouTube has an issue with fraudulent ads, right? The ones that are like, oh, this is a Mr. Beast thing and you need to do, and it's not even through Mr. Beast, right? Mr. Beast, watch like one video. Seems like a cool dude, right? But a lot of people will use his notoriety and fame and they'll try to sell you a scam or sell you a product, right? I worked in finance along with a fraud team, and I got to see people losing tens of thousands of dollars to scams. I don't have respect for scammers, but it's just, I don't think that it's fair to get rid of ad blockers. I can't, YouTube in good consciousness, I can't say to use an ad blocker legally, right? What I can say is I can see the justification if the platform itself, and this goes for all platforms, is pushing ads that are fraudulent, harmful, or scams, right? And if you address that and the ads are actually good, cool, awesome, whatever, man. And that being said, if that is going to be we don't want to do that, it's going to cost too much money, we're getting money from these scam companies, then that's fine. You know what? Louis Rossman route, right? Get ads out of my media. 100%. Like, I think this is an incredibly reasonable take.
Movies.anywhere.com allows users to download movies for offline viewing within its app on supported devices. It does not provide a file that can be transferred or played on non-supported devices outside of the app, which means that you have the ability to give them money and they have the ability to take that media away, the same way that Sony did. And if they take your media away, you're not able to do anything about it. They can simply rub their titties like the South Park Cable Company CEO because they forced you into arbitration. And if you deal with forced arbitration, you are dealing with an agent of the company that is being paid by the company to resolve the dispute.
Yep. Oh, I didn't even know that. The way it was described to me is it was a former or like retired judge. It's an agent of the company that the company is paying, Bro, if that is true, that is some scum. Look, I'm Scorpion Clan, right? L5R. The amount of people that actually know what I'm talking about is actually wild. Y'all OGs. I love you all. Like, deal with scum. That's scummy, okay? That's scummy.
Forced arbitration and not having legislation in the United States that limits forced arbitration is Congress's version of taking their nipples and rubbing them like the South Park cable company. The reason that I do not feel bad at all to have my BDR 2213 with a 10 to 15-year-old firmware version on it that allows me to rip whatever the fuck I want and store it on my server so that I can access it any fucking time I want. So I can watch a transcoded version on my phone if I'm traveling, or I can watch the full file when I'm at home. Right now, 10 years from now, 80 years from now, 200 years from now, if I figure out how to live that long, none of these fucking movie studios can ever take away what I bought and paid for because it's mine. I
think that's the thing that I'm kind of just like, so I own my media, right? I own Code Geass, R1, R2, RE1, RE2, RE3, the movie set, right? Resurrection, right? And what if I want to watch it on the go? What if I want to watch the entirety of Naruto on the go? What if I want to watch Star Wars or Lord of the Rings Extended Edition on the go, right? Say, I don't know, if I travel to an SCA event, right? And I'm just chilling. I'm like, hey, I got this, right? And even then, Windows and Blu-ray players are known for years to not exactly work together, right? It's also bulky to hold. It's like, what do you do, right? And then what if you're outside of internet range? So it's this like, if you own it, I don't care. Go for it. I literally do not care. I'm so sick of a lot of subscription services. And it's not that I'm not willing to pay for it. The only reason I actually have Disney Plus is that it's bundled with my phone because I pay for the big boy package for like 5 gigabytes mobile hotspot if I need it, right? I pay for the big boy package. So like, yeah, I have Disney Plus but other than that, it's like, it just feels weird to me. Why would I watch something that may or may not be on Netflix and it may be at a throttled quality with potential ads in it when I can just watch Lord of the Rings Extended Edition or Star Wars, right? I just have to pull out the disc, find a Blu-ray player, and then it comes down to, well, how can you legally get the MKV files? How can you legally do this? And that's for a lawyer to decide. At the end of the day, if you own it, I don't care. Who cares? But that might be a hot take from me.
Waiting 22 years for this shit. I got the internet in 2001. I pirated my first movie in 2002 because you fuckers didn't give me a single option to be able to purchase it online or be able to put it on my Cohen O2. Because back then, I actually, in the early days, I didn't have a Cohen O2. I had to upgrade to that later. Originally, I had a Cohen A2, and none of you fucks gave me my video in a format that could play on my Cohen A2 over here. And as a result of it, I was forced into piracy. And now, I've given you pieces of shit 22 years to give me, as a person that is so goody two-shoes that he pays $80 for Linux, to be able to purchase media and say that when I bought it, I own it. But I can't do that. When I pay you fuckers, you can take away my content at any given time. When I decide that I'm going to buy it, what I'm actually buying is a license to be able to view it until you take it away from me that only works on devices that spy on me, like smart TVs, which I went over in my video on Netflix, where I paid for 4K video, and these pieces of shit gave me 720p.
I saw that one.
I used a smart TV, which, as I've gone over in my videos, literally spies on you by default. Check out the anti-sponsor spot in my last video. And then when
I keep having my TV, I don't know what it is. I was looking for the brand, but it's hidden up behind my Xbox. Like, if my TV ever locks me out, and it's it's like a 40-inch, it's not big, right? If my TV ever locks me out, or I get the whiff iota that it's doing something I don't want it to, I'm chucking it. I will chuck that. I will go to a pawn shop. I will do whatever I need to get rid of it at that point. And that's the thing is, what do you do at that point? I'll go to Costco. I'll go buy like an 80-inch TV and make sure that thing never connects to the internet. Never. And I'll be good. Unless that locks me out. But then, you know what? That's a different problem for a different day. I cannot stand that smart TVs have become such a problem.
Finally decide to pay for the media because I don't want to deal with the online not ownership bullshit. I don't want to deal with you could take it away from me BS. I don't want to deal with you after I pay you money telling me what I can fucking play my media on that I can't even buy the disc and rip it because you tell every company making the drive to not allow it. So then I have to scour the internet to find a drive with 10 or 15-year-old firmware so that I can do it.
Nice.
I don't care. At this point, you can call me a criminal, you can call me a piece of shit, you can call me a pirate. I have waited 22 goddamn years for you to give me the ability to actually buy something and say I own it. And you have not given me that. My only option right now is to go to some shit like moviesanywhere.com and pay a monthly fee for something where they can take away my content. And after they take away my content, I can't even fucking sue them. And you wonder why people become pirates. The best part about having physical media, you can't change the terms of the sale after the sale. You have no way to do it. And even if the terms of the sale say that I'm not allowed to rip it, I'll fucking do it anyway. Because you have no way of telling whether or not I've done it, and you have no access. You want to come into my house and see what I'm doing? I dare you. Fuck around and find out. Come and take it. Try to come into my home. Take my BDR 2213. There are many like it, but this one is mine. Before God, I swear this creed. My BDR 2213 and I are the defenders of freedom. We are the masters of our enemy at the MPAA and RIAA. We are the saviors of private property.
And I think people don't mind paying for stuff, right? Like, obviously, there was the argument about YouTube and ads, and just having YouTube be free for everybody isn't a valid business strategy. Like, we've had this in other videos as well, right? And like, I pay for YouTube Premium, one, because it helps me with my job, you know, reacting to things, watching things, learning things, right? Like, I have a Sony camera video that I still got to watch to figure out how to set it up fully. But like, I mean, well, unless it hits an egregious amount, if I start having to pay like $30 a month for YouTube Premium, I'm out. Okay, like I'm out. I can't. That's excessive. That is egregious. I don't think anything he says is necessarily out of line. People, there's always going to be those leeches, right? There's always going to be people that are going to pirate stuff. There's always going to be people that, well, I don't care, I don't want it, whatever, right? You have to make things as easy as possible for your end user, end consumer, etc. Let's take a look at what I do, right? React content. How many React content creators, how many React channels will react to a video and they won't cite the original video, right? And it's a problem I've had, and one of the issues I have with React content. It's why I do it. Look in the description down below. You will see his original video and his channel. I make it as easy as possible for you, because there's other channels where, you know, and I'm guilty of this too. Hey, watch big creator do this. Well, I can't find the original video in the description. I don't care anymore, right? And I think that's a disservice, because it's at bare minimum, just cite your source, right? So if you make it harder for people, they don't want to do it, right? And that's the same logic. You can't say they don't understand this. That's the same logic they're doing with arbitration agreements. Hey, you have 30 calendar days from what looks like a spam email to counter this, or you are automatically legally opted into this, right? Really? So what you're saying is, to try and counter you, you're going to make it as hard as possible for me to try and get out of that, so that I can't get out of it and I'm forced into that option. Wow. It's almost like they understand the logic, they just don't care. And as he's saying, it's been 22 years. Make things readily available. Make things as easy as possible to purchase, and people will purchase them. The moment you start, you know, engaging in "you will own nothing, you will like it" logic, the moment I get a whiff that my Pokemon Coliseum XD Gale of Darkness disc, my Majora's Mask N64 card, all legitimate, authentic, by the way, yes, cost me a lot of money. The moment I get a whiff of that stuff being potentially taken or being potentially repossessed, something like that, we have a problem. We have a massive problem. And so, yeah, physical media is, I think, one of the last bastions of, as he's saying, freedom. Hey, cool, you own the thing. Grats. Cool. Versus, well, did I pay my subscription this month? Well, the subscription went up again, you know, or shake fist, you know, went up again. And, oh, well, that's not allowed anymore because they pulled it. They lost the licensing, or at least they're saying they lost the licensing. To make it easy as possible. And you can apply this to business. You can apply this to anything. Make it as easy as possible for your end user, end consumer to get what you're wanting or what they're wanting, and provide a quality product and service. It's not hard. But then again, conversations with my father, Kip, you don't understand business. You know what? You're right. I'm not $1 billion company.
One of my favorite YouTube comments of all time got deleted off of one of my recent videos, and it's a good thing that I screenshotted this comment, because it's one of my favorite ones, and I'm going to mention it at the end of several of my videos from now on. If buying isn't owning, then pirating isn't stealing. I sent an email to Adobe customer support letting them know that I'm changing the terms of the sale and allowing myself to own all of their software at no cost. By accepting my email, they've agreed to the terms of service. And in order to file a dispute, they need to send a certified letter weighing exactly 1.337 ounces and sealed with wax the exact color of my asshole. Failure to do so constitutes acceptance of my new terms of service. Now, why I find this so funny is because he's actually taking content from numerous of my videos and tying them together in a very humorous way. First, ABC Fitness decided that if I want to cancel my gym membership, I can't call them to do it, nor can I do it on their website, which is what I use to sign up. I need to send them a certified mail letter.
No.
Not a normal letter, because I could do that with stamps in my drawer. A certified mail letter, which for 99% of the United States requires that you make a trip to the post office, which means waiting 15 minutes to drive there, waiting 15 minutes in line, which you probably won't do, which will cause you to not cancel your gym membership. You could sign up in 5 seconds online, but to cancel, certified mail, not even normal mail. And LA Fitness does the exact same thing. When it comes to Roku, Roku decided that they were going to literally not allow you to use your television until you accepted a forced arbitration agreement.
This is what I was talking about.
And when you tried to turn on your TV, you had one option, agree. You could not even change the source to an HDMI input unless you accepted their terms and conditions.
That is something I would make a video about. I would tweet at them. I would do everything possible to make noise, and I would chuck that TV Ron Swanson style.
This company decided to put forced arbitration on socks. And what they said is that you not opting out by sending us a letter constitutes acceptance of the terms of service. So they can opt you into an abusive terms of service by sending you an email. But to opt out, you need to send them a fucking letter. This is going too far. More of these companies are doing this shit where they send you a spam email to opt you into abusive terms of service and conditions that are different than what you signed when you paid for it without you hitting agree. You're opted in, but if you want to opt out, you have to jump through a fucking Barnum and Bailey circus level of rings to be able to actually get back the terms of service that...
I think that the way he solved the fitness one was I think that he used a temporarily generated card, I think. And so they couldn't charge the card because I think he turned it off after, or he deleted it after, right? There's services where you can, effectively fund a card or fund something. And so you can subscribe using, I'm going to use this card, right? This card that definitely exists. And it ends up being the card that you end up generating, right, through that service. And so then they can't get to your account. And suddenly they care a lot about your business and they care a lot about getting in contact with you, right? God, dude. Like... How is this not illegal? This has to be illegal in some capacity. And honestly, what would change this is we just need, it's like YouTube and copyright or anything else. There needs to be a single big case where this becomes an issue and legislation is brought about. This is wild that more and more companies are going to this arbitration model. And the fact that I'm now hearing about, thanks chat, that this is an agent of the company on your dime, that is absolutely just BS. One, if you're a large company, large corporation, the likes of this, you should have a legal team. This legal team should be reviewing every single thing that you put out. You pay them the money because you have the money to pay them. This is wild.
Was present when you paid for the service. This should be illegal. You should not be allowed to do this. And the best way to fight back is to never give these people money again. Mm-hmm. Get used Blu-ray discs off of eBay. After you get a used Blu-ray disc, rip it using a drive that has a 10-year-old firmware on it, and then put it on a computer in your closet that looks like this. Put Linux on it, put a Samba server on it, have a VPN in your router so you could log in from anywhere. You could use something like Owl Files in your phone to view the original file, or you can use something like Image, which I use for all of my images, and I can also use that to store my movies as well, so that if I want to watch that movie and I have really good bandwidth, I can watch an original copy, and if I have really horrible bandwidth, but I want to watch something anyway, and I'm at a rest stop or something on a road trip, I can watch a transcoded copy, even when I only have crappy internet and 2 bars on my phone. I have the complete freedom to do whatever I want with what I paid for, and I do not feel bad one bit encouraging my 2 million subscribers to find DVD drives and Blu-rays like this so that they could rip that content, because these movie studios and these content companies, and honestly just about every company nowadays, is trying to fuck you 6 ways to Sunday and get away with it. Your way of fighting back: buy used, don't buy new, and disobey every single one of their bullshit pieces of DRM that you can, so that you can actually say that you own what you bought and paid for. Taking ownership back starts with us. If we don't do it now, when will we do it? That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. And if you're watching this moviesanywhere.com, fuck you. This here is an LG G3 OLED television that also has cat scratchers on the side. That's my way of trying to bribe my cat into not scratching my speaker. We'll
Makes
see
sense.
if that works. In all seriousness, this is in the menu of this television. If you go in this at any one of the default profiles and you go to privacy and terms, what you'll notice with the smart television is there's an option called do not sell my personal information.
Really?
And because we live in a dystopian world, this option is not by default checked.
Wow,
It
dude.
should be the default when you pay over $3,000 for a television that you do not sell my personal information. But even when you pay that much for a television, the default is that they will sell your personal data, which is why you should never connect a television to the internet, particularly when these televisions have microphones built into them that allow them to listen to what it is you say in your living room. There are many other settings hidden in here that talk about being able to see what it is you're watching or what you're doing, to be able to make recommendations to you and personalize advertisements to you if you browse around the television. And 100% of those options is the consumer unfriendly option, and the advertiser grabs your data, sells it, and uses it however they please option.
And you know what? That's the thing. That is in their product. So hearing this, seeing this, it's not that Louis is trying to slander, defame the product. It's that this is literally what they're doing. This is literally what they're doing. This is their choice. And that makes me not want to buy an LG, because that is the kind of practice that they're going to do and they're going to engage in. And you know what? That's one of those things I'm going to be checking if my TV's connected to the internet or not. Is it that I have anything to hide? No. I think if anything, I'm just pissed that they have all this information. They have all this data. They have every one of these conversations. Oh, we need to hold this. And they still can't sell me a product worth a damn. They still can't. You know what the last game I bought was? Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5, 2.8, and Kingdom Hearts 3 all on Steam, even though I owned it on Epic. You know why? Because I can't play it offline on Epic. Because I don't feel like I own it on Epic, even though I bought it for full price MSRP on Epic. So I own it on Steam. Like, this blows my mind. It's absolutely asinine. And that's one of the other things as well. Like, I'd have to check the ownership on Steam. I feel the best with Steam. GOG, I hear as well, chat was mentioning, has a good rapport with that. But you know, I wonder what happens if Steam goes down. What happens if you're in an area without Steam access, right? And then, you know, certain things like Destiny 2, right? It's a live service. You're connecting to a server. Do you know how weird it's been to go back and play Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green and to not, and even Emerald on stream, right? And to not have server issues, server queue, downtime, maintenance, updates, all of the things that we associate with a live service and being connected to the internet 24/7, right? It's been jarring. So if I challenge you to do one thing, take a break, whether that's today, whether that's this weekend, turn off your internet on your TV, whatever you're using, right? Or you can turn off your internet altogether, who cares, right? And play an older game. Watch something like an older DVD, watch a Blu-ray, watch a VHS if you got it, right? Be careful because of the tape, though, right? And the age. And just spend an hour or two just, like, getting a feel for that again and how different it is to nowadays. You don't have to spend the whole day, just an hour or two, right? And how just jarring it is. And we will really only see anything happen. I think arbitration really needs to be, there's the funny R word, regulated, right? It needs to be regulated. This is absolutely asinine. And you know what? I will look at people like Louis Rossman because they are consumer focused, right? I like a lot of their opinions, and I think that they're super cool. So, I mean, definitely go check him out if you haven't. He's an awesome person. Love watching the content that he puts out, and you know, I want to hit what corners of the internet that I can, you know, so that I can spread more information about him, make sure other people have a chance to find him, look into him, etc. And thank you all for watching. I definitely do appreciate it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.